Gabriel rubbed his eyes and stretched his arms slowly, trying to shake the weight of the day before. Bills had piled high. Debt tightened around his life like chains. Every morning felt the same. Wake up, work, survive, repeat. The endless routine people called life had begun to wear holes into his soul. But today was different. He just didn't know it yet. By the end of the day, the world he thought he understood would crack wide open. The rules would bend. Reality itself would loosen in his hands. Life was about to become something far greater than survival. It was about to become creation. Gabriel made his coffee like he had every morning before getting ready for the grind. The smell filled the small apartment as he stared at the clock above the stove. 5:46. He didn't think much of it. Not at first. He shuffled through the stack of bills scattered across the table, letting out a tired sigh before tearing open another debt collection letter. The bold red numbers practically screamed at him. $789 due immediately. For a brief moment, his mind lingered on the strange sequence between the clock and the amount owed. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like something was lining up. But he quickly dismissed it as coincidence. Just another tired thought from an exhausted mind. Later that day, Gabriel stood in the back room of the small butcher shop where he worked, the fluorescent lights above him buzzing like trapped insects. Knife in hand, he moved through the motions automatically, his body working while his mind drifted elsewhere. Music played softly through his headphones. One of his own songs. Normally, it was background noise, something to pass the time. But today, the lyrics felt different. Sharper. Alive. It's time. Wake up. Child of old. Gabriel froze. The knife slipped from his fingers and clattered against the floor. For the first time in years, he truly looked around the room. Every face carried the same emptiness, the same exhaustion, the same quiet misery hidden behind routine. And suddenly, a thought hit him so hard it felt physical. This is not where I belong. This isn't my purpose. Without another thought, Gabriel grabbed his phone and walked straight out the back door. No goodbye, no plan, no security left to cling to. Only movement, only instinct. The city air hit him as he stepped onto the sidewalk. After wandering aimlessly for several blocks, he finally sat down near the curb and pulled his headphones free. His music continued playing softly beside him as he closed his eyes. For the first time in a long time, he breathed. Nearly 5 minutes passed before a voice interrupted the silence. I don't think I've heard that song before. Gabriel looked up. A sharply dressed man stood nearby, hands folded neatly behind his back. His clothes were far too expensive for this side of town. Gabriel frowned slightly. No, sir. I wrote it. The man's expression softened into a subtle smile. Did you now? He asked. I heard it from my car over there. Had to come see where it was coming from. Something about the way the man looked at him felt intense, like he wasn't just seeing Gabriel's face, but something underneath it. Gabriel scoffed quietly. Look, if you're here to judge me, save it. I got enough on my plate without some rich guy coming down here to lecture me about life. The man stepped back slightly, but his smile only grew. I like your spirit, he said calmly. No judgment. I'm just wondering why someone with your potential is sitting on a street corner dressed like they've already given up. Gabriel opened his mouth to respond, but nothing came out. Truthfully, he didn't know. The man nodded as if the silence itself answered the question. So, he continued, what's it going to be? Gabriel blinked. What? You going to make music? The man asked. Or are you going to sit here waiting for life to happen to you? Before Gabriel could answer, a sudden gust of wind swept through the street, rattling nearby trash and sending an old newspaper page tumbling across the sidewalk. It smacked directly against Gabriel's foot. Slowly, he bent down and picked it up. And just like the lyrics before, certain words stood out unnaturally clear from the rest of the faded page. If you don't start now, you never will. Gabriel stared at the words. His heart pounded. The universe itself suddenly felt louder than the city around him. He rose to his feet and held out his hand. So, Gabriel said, a spark returning to his eyes, what did you have in mind? The man shook his hand firmly before laughing to himself. Well, first, he said, turning toward the black car parked down the street, we're going to need your songs. He opened the passenger door. And my studio. The car. Gabriel stared silently out the window as the city drifted past beside him. Streetlights blurred against the glass while rain from earlier in the evening shimmered across the pavement below. Neither of them spoke. The man simply drove. At first, everything looked normal, familiar. But little by little, the world outside began to change. The buildings grew taller, cleaner, stranger somehow. The streets no longer carried the worn-down feeling of the city Gabriel had spent his entire life trapped inside. Even the sky looked different, brighter somehow, despite the coming night. After what couldn't have been more than 20 minutes, the car slowed to a stop in front of a massive glass building that stretched high into the skyline like a monument of light. Gabriel stepped out slowly. Above the entrance hung an enormous silver sign, Heartland Studios. Beneath it, smaller words shimmered softly in white. Where dreams come true. Gabriel looked around in confusion. This wasn't his city. Hell, this didn't even feel like his world. Where are we? He asked quietly. The man walked ahead toward the front doors, adjusting his coat as a faint smile crossed his face. Far from home, kiddo. The answer sent a strange chill through Gabriel's body. He looked around again. The air felt clearer here. Cleaner. Easier to breathe. The noise of the world was gone. No sirens. No shouting. No pressure crushing his chest. Only calm. Only possibility. Gabriel frowned, trying to make sense of it. They had barely been driving 20 minutes. Yet somehow it felt like they had crossed oceans. Even the land itself looked unfamiliar. The trees were taller. The stars brighter. The atmosphere carried an almost unreal softness to it, as if reality itself had loosened around the edges. That strange feeling returned. The same feeling he had when the lyrics spoke to him, like something was pulling him forward. The man opened the studio doors. Gabriel stepped inside and froze. Microphones, instruments, computers, professional sound booths, huge display screens. Every piece of equipment he had ever dreamed of touching stood before him. And sitting across the long studio table was all of his stuff from home. His notebooks, his laptop, his headphones, even the old backpack he left beside the couch that morning. Everything neatly arranged as if it had been waiting for him all along. Gabriel's pulse quickened. What? He whispered. How? He spun around toward the man. But no one was there. The doorway stood open behind him. Empty. Silent. Gabriel stared into the hall beyond the studio, his breathing growing shallow. Hello. No answer. Only silence. Then slowly, the studio lights flickered on one by one around him. A low hum filled the room. And across the massive recording screen, glowing white letters slowly appeared. Welcome back, Gabriel. For reasons he couldn't explain, those words terrified him. Gabriel looked around the studio again, making absolutely certain he was alone before speaking. Hello, he called out cautiously. Who did that? No answer came. Instead, the studio itself awakened. Lights flickered softly overhead as screens across the room suddenly burst to life. Glass display panels unfolded from the walls with smooth mechanical precision, glowing with waveforms, lyrics, sound controls, and editing systems Gabriel had only ever seen online. Then the music started. His music. One by one, his unfinished songs filled the room through crystal-clear speakers. The sound was perfect. Not compressed. Not rough demos made on cheap equipment. Perfect. Gabriel stepped forward slowly, completely mesmerized. Tracks separated themselves automatically across floating panels. Vocals adjusted in real time. Beats aligned flawlessly. Harmonies he never remembered recording layered themselves naturally into place. It was as if the studio understood exactly what he wanted before he even touched anything. Fear twisted inside him. But so did wonder. For hours, Gabriel lost himself in the music. Every adjustment felt effortless. Every sound clicked perfectly into place. The songs became alive, stronger than he had ever imagined them. The voices hit harder. The beats carried emotion straight into the chest. And for the first time in his entire life, Gabriel felt seen. Not by people, by creation itself. Finally, after what felt like an entire day inside the studio, Gabriel leaned back in the chair and stared at the final glowing button before him. Finalize. He hesitated only a moment before pressing it. Instantly, the entire studio pulsed with light. Code flooded every screen. Uploading, publishing, distributing. Platforms appeared faster than he could read them. Music apps, streaming services, websites he had never even heard of. His album spread across the digital world automatically like wildfire. Gabriel's eyes widened. No, no way. This had to be a dream. There was no other explanation. But then reality crashed back into his mind. Work, bills, his family, responsibility. Panic suddenly surged through him. I have to get back. He shot out of the chair and sprinted for the doors. I have to work. Bills are due. My family needs me. Gabriel burst outside and froze. He was standing behind the butcher shop. The same alley, the same dumpsters, the same gray afternoon sky. His boss leaned out the back door holding a clipboard. You good? The man asked casually. Truck just got here. Could use a hand. Gabriel stared at him in complete disbelief. What? His breathing became uneven. What time is it? His boss raised an eyebrow. Same time it was 5 minutes ago. 5 minutes. Gabriel's stomach dropped. That was impossible. He had spent hours in the studio. Maybe longer. Hands shaking slightly, Gabriel pulled out his phone. The time confirmed it. Only minutes had passed. Yeah, Gabriel muttered numbly. I'm coming. Like a machine running on autopilot, he helped unload the truck in stunned silence. His mind spiraled the entire time. Finally, unable to take it anymore, he slipped one headphone back into his ear and pressed play on his phone. The music exploded through the speaker. Clean. Mastered. Perfect. His completed album. Every song. Exactly as it sounded inside the studio. Gabriel nearly dropped the phone. His chest tightened. This wasn't a dream. It was real. But how? How could any of this be real? By the time his shift finally ended, Gabriel felt detached from the world around him, like he was watching someone else live his life from a distance. He drove home in silence, said hello to his family, then rushed straight to his computer. The second the screen turned on, notifications flooded everything. Messages, comments, shares, follower counts skyrocketing in real time. His music was everywhere. Thousands of plays became hundreds of thousands within minutes. Reaction videos, people crying to his songs, creators using his music, music blogs calling him the voice people didn't know they needed. Gabriel stumbled backward into his chair. His fingers slid through his hair as his heart pounded violently in his chest. What? He whispered shakily. Another notification appeared. Then another. Then another. Millions. His breathing slowed. Not from calm. From disbelief. What is going on? Gabriel lay in bed beside his wife while she slept peacefully against his side. One arm wrapped loosely around him, her breathing slow and steady beneath the dim glow of the television across the room. He gently ran his fingers through a strand of her hair, trying to calm the storm raging inside his mind. What really happened today? How was any of it possible? He had been gone for hours. He knew he had, and yet the proof sat right there in his hand. Gabriel stared down at his phone, scrolling through the completed album still uploaded across every platform imaginable. The numbers continued climbing so fast they barely looked real anymore. Views, comments, followers, million. His thumb hovered over one of the songs before finally pressing play. Soft static crackled through the speaker. Then the music started. At first it sounded normal, beautiful even, but something felt wrong. The screen flickered. Gabriel frowned. The album cover suddenly flashed bright green before distorting violently into rows of binary code. 010, 010, 1001. 010, 010, 1001. 010, 010, 1001. Over and over again. What the hell? Gabriel sat upright instantly. The code continued pulsing across the screen faster now. Then his stomach dropped. The walls around the bedroom began doing the same thing. Flickering, glitching, reality itself tearing into streams of green code that crawled across the room like living static. What? Gabriel turned quickly toward his wife, grabbing for her shoulder. Baby, wake up. But the words died in his throat. She was gone. The bed was gone. The room was gone. Everything vanished. Gabriel stumbled backward in panic. Cold air struck his face. His eyes widened. He was standing outside, back on the sidewalk, directly in front of Heartland Studios. But something was horribly different this time. The city was dead silent. No cars, no lights, no people, no sound at all. The massive glass building stood dark and empty beneath a black sky stripped of stars. Gabriel's pulse pounded in his ears as he slowly approached the entrance. The glowing sign above the building was gone. No, where dreams come true. No worms, only darkness. He pressed a hand cautiously against the glass and looked inside. Empty, completely hollow. No studio equipment, no lights, no music, nothing but massive vacant rooms stretching endlessly into darkness. Gabriel swallowed hard. That's odd. His own voice sounded wrong here. Muted, distant. Then suddenly, a faint sound echoed somewhere deep inside the building. Music, one of his songs, playing slowly, distorted, like a broken memory. And from somewhere within the darkness, something moved. Gabriel took a slow step backward from the glass doors. What was inside? His heart pounded violently against his ribs as his hand slowly reached for the handle. The second he pulled the door open, darkness swallowed him whole. He stepped cautiously into the building. Instantly, the room illuminated. Lights snapped on overhead with a violent hum, nearly blinding him. Gabriel spun around quickly, searching for movement. Anything. Fear tightened in his chest. Every instinct in his body screamed that something was wrong, that he was not alone. But the studio stood empty, silent, still. Gabriel swallowed hard. What am I about to run into? The thought barely crossed his mind before another one followed immediately after. I really wish I had something to defend myself with. The moment the thought formed, a metal table slammed down across the room with a deafening crash. Gabriel jumped back in shock. Weapons lined the surface. Handguns, knives, axes, short swords, even heavier weapons he didn't recognize. Gabriel stared at them in disbelief. Did I just... He stopped mid-sentence. Something moved in the shadows ahead. Not clearly, just a blur. Fussed, watching him. Then it moved again. Closer. Gabriel's pulse exploded. Without hesitation, he sprinted toward the table and grabbed the nearest handgun before snatching up a short sword with his other hand. He spun around quickly, but nothing was there. Only darkness. This is insane. Keeping the gun raised, Gabriel slowly moved deeper into the studio, following the faint sound of music echoing through the halls. His song, or at least something pretending to be it. The audio warped and distorted unnaturally as he approached. The lyrics glitched violently through the speakers. Static. You? The lights flickered overhead. Awake? The voice stretched unnaturally before cutting out completely. Silence. Then, crash. Something massive slammed into the darkness behind him. Gabriel whipped around. Heavy footsteps thundered through the studio. Fussed. Whatever it was charging him. Gabriel took off, running toward the direction the voice had come from as an inhuman roar erupted behind him, shaking the walls around him. Then suddenly, something grabbed his ankle. Gabriel crashed hard against the floor. Pain exploded through his leg. He rolled violently onto his back, raising the handgun instantly. Bang, 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 bang. The muzzle flashes lit the darkness around him in quick, violent bursts. Nothing. There was nothing there. No creature. No person. Only empty space. Gabriel's breathing became ragged. Then he looked down. For deep claw marks stretched across his ankle, blood slowly running down into his shoe. His stomach twisted. Something touched him. Something was there. Wincing in pain, Gabriel forced himself back to his feet. The studio had gone completely silent again. Then softly, music returned. But this wasn't his song. A childlike voice echoed slowly through the darkness. Run, run, little one. Static crackled. You can't hide from the boogeyman. Gabriel froze. Cold spread through his entire body. That wasn't his music. He had heard that before. Somewhere. Somehow. Laughter suddenly echoed throughout the massive, hollow studio. Not human laughter. Something wrong. Something stretched and distorted like multiple voices speaking at once. The lights exploded back on. Gabriel shielded his eyes instinctively. When he lowered his arm, the studio was normal again. Bright, warm, clean. Music equipment lined the walls. The hollow emptiness was gone. And standing near the center of the room, the man in black calmly swept the floor with a broom, as if none of it had happened. He glanced up casually when he noticed Gabriel staring at him. "Oh," the man said with a warm smile. "Hello, Gabriel." He leaned lightly against the broom. "Welcome back." "Man, where did you just come from?" The man continued sweeping calmly. Gabriel's hands trembled. "Tell me right now what's happening." The man slowly looked up, but instead of answering, something broke. His body twitched unnaturally, like corrupted footage. "WL, come back." "Gabriel." His voice distorted violently. The man's smile froze in place as his face flickered like a broken screen. "We'll come back. Gabriel." The lights overhead pulsed rapidly. Gabriel stepped backward, gun raised higher. "No." The man glitched again. His movements skipped unnaturally across the room like reality itself was buffering. Then the binary code returned. 010101010101 010101010101 0101010101. It spread across the walls, across the floors, across the man himself. The music inside the studio became deafening. Voices layered over one another. His songs, the distorted nursery rhyme, static, whispers, laughter. Gabriel clenched the gun tighter. This time he was ready. If something came out of the darkness again, he'd fight. Suddenly, everything stopped. The lights vanished. The music died instantly. The world disappeared. Gabriel stood frozen inside complete darkness. No walls, no floor, no ceiling, only endless black stretching infinitely in every direction. A void, silent except for the sound of his own breathing. His heartbeat echoed loudly in the emptiness. "What now?" Gabriel yelled into the darkness. No answer came. Only himself, only his thoughts. His breathing slowed gradually as panic began giving way to exhaustion. This isn't real. Or maybe it is. He lowered the gun slowly. For the first time since all of this started, Gabriel stopped fighting it. His voice cracked softly. "I just want to go home." The void responded immediately. A single wooden door appeared in front of him. Old, weathered, ancient-looking. Warm golden light poured through the cracks around its frame. Gabriel stared at it silently, then slowly stepped forward. His hand touched the handle. Warm, real. He pulled the door open carefully and froze. He was staring into his bedroom, at himself, still asleep in bed. His wife curled peacefully against his chest, exactly where she had been before. Gabriel's breath caught in his throat. He slowly stepped closer to the doorway, unable to look away from his sleeping body. Everything inside the room looked normal, peaceful, safe, like none of this had ever happened. Then suddenly, the sleeping version of Gabriel opened his eyes, directly staring at him. The moment their eyes met, Gabriel jolted violently. His body slammed backward into the mattress as air rushed into his lungs. The bedroom ceiling hung above him once more. Dark, still, normal. Gabriel sat there frozen beside his sleeping wife, his chest rising and falling rapidly as sweat rolled down the side of his face. His hands trembled. The room was real again. The television glowed softly in the corner. The fan spun overhead. His wife shifted slightly against him in her sleep. Everything was exactly how it should be. But Gabriel knew the truth immediately. That wasn't just a dream. Dreams didn't leave claw marks. Slowly, his eyes drifted downward toward his ankle beneath the blanket. A sharp pain pulsed through it. His stomach tightened. He already knew what he would find. Carefully pulling the blanket aside, Gabriel revealed 4 deep red marks carved across his skin, exactly where the thing had grabbed him. His mouth went dry. No. His phone suddenly lit up beside the bed. Gabriel nearly jumped. The screen displayed hundreds of notifications still pouring in from the album. Views climbing. Messages flooding. People tagging him everywhere. Proof. All of it was real. Then, beep, beep, beep. His alarm clock went off. 6 a.m. Time to get ready for work. Gabriel stared at the ceiling in disbelief. After everything that had happened, after the studio, after the void, after seeing himself asleep, Life was still expecting him to clock in on time. The normalcy of it felt almost insulting. Slowly, Gabriel reached over and shut the alarm off. Silence returned. For a long moment, he simply sat there beside his sleeping wife, trying to understand what reality even meant anymore. Then his phone buzzed again. One new notification appeared on the screen. Unknown sender. No number. No contact. Only a message. Are you awake now?